Now, political parties are expected to thrash out coalition deals this week. This after the IEC's announcement that no party achieved a majority in 66 municipalities, resulting in a record number of hung councils. The ANC says its negotiating team is willing to talk to any party willing to work with them. We speak to South African Local Government Association's Lance Joel on how coalitions work. Lance, thank you very much for your time. Are you in the least bit concerned by the number of hung municipalities this time around, a record high?
Well, good afternoon, Elsa. Good afternoon to the viewers. Indeed, when you look at the outcome of the 2016 elections, we had 27 hung councils, and we currently sitting at 66 for this time around. So, indeed, it's exciting times. I think it's our democracy is maturing. I don't think we should reject the fact that the electorate has given us these 66 hung councils, but it is what we do over the next 14 days as political parties are gearing towards setting up either a coalition government or a minority government. So interesting times ahead.
No, very interesting, but also concerning. If you speak of the next 14 days, given by the press briefings that we've been covering of various political parties, it doesn't seem that most of them are willing to work with each other, or at least particularly most of them are not willing to work with the ANC. So we really don't know what could possibly happen. Are you concerned with some of the statements coming from some of these political parties?
Well, perhaps concerned, yes, but what is starting to emerge is also encouraging. And what do I mean by that is that when you look at the issues that political parties are putting on the table as their, let's call them non-negotiables, it is quite encouraging to see that those non-negotiables are indeed linked to what local government is really about. And ultimately what you're seeing coming through is political parties indeed looking at the interests of communities and not at self-interest. So that's the encouraging part.
Mm-hmm. But interesting that you mentioned that. Apologies for interjecting there, but I was just saying, interesting that you mentioned that most of what are the non-negotiables of most political parties are centered around service delivery or the communities themselves. But we've been unpacking some of the non-negotiables, and we saw some, let's say, for instance, the economic freedom fighters. They're talking Reserve Bank must be nationalized, creation of state bank, also scrapping of student debt, quite a lot, and even removing of the stem from the national anthem. So it seems some of the political parties are negotiating on national policy or looking to formulate policy. So they're negotiating at that level, not necessarily the most local level of water, electricity, and just the usual waste collecting.
Well, indeed, I was really generalizing, and I think when we look at the merits of what is being put forward, I think it's generally positive. We have been saying as SALGA, especially in the last week, that it would be important that as parties are looking at coalition partners and putting together a coalition government, it would be important that issues that are of national and provincial interest and resides at the national and provincial level should really not form the part of a basis of discussions on the local coalitions themselves, because the local leaders will ultimately be given the responsibility to implement the coalition agreement, do not have the authority to execute and deliver on issues that are best placed elsewhere at national and provincial level. So we strongly discourage that and continue to do so, because we think it is not in the best interest of the local communities ultimately. And these elections were about local communities.
And just in closing, your take on the concept of bartering. I give you this municipality, or I vote with you here, you possibly give me this one. Your take, is it in the interest of society, or we could see a revolt, like how we saw in Isipingo here? In KZN, you have people that are fighting, though, because they didn't get an opportunity to vote. But you could have a situation where some are saying, we voted for X political party to actually govern, or they got the most, but somehow they've transferred us to another political party who wants to exclusively govern. What's your take on that? Can bartering actually be something that is principled?
Well, I certainly think that it's an interesting demand that is being made, and effectively it is going against the grain of an election that is based on local communities. Because for us, certainly, the keen interest would be, how do you then decide which party rules where? Because the electorate has spoken. The electorate has said that these are the parties we would want to see in government. These are the parties we would want to see delivering services to us. And then parties ignore that. Parties determine on their own basis, whatever may inform those bases, on which areas should be governed by which party. And I think it spits in the face of the electorate. And I think it is going to create serious challenges with the local communities, certainly.
Sure. No, it's interesting times ahead, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.